Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen of the internets, to my humble YouTube page. And by humble, I mean a complete crap of a YouTube page. Just got back from seeing the Wolverine, and before I get into the review, really, if you have small children and you know they just do not stop yapping and talking and asking questions, especially in a movie that they probably don't get, don't take him to a Friday night showing. I know that's what happened here, and the kids did not shut up the entire fucking time. And I didn't shush them. I didn't shush the parents, which is what you want to do. I looked over and batted the evil eye once or twice, because it's like, really? They were close by, and I'm like, really? Get your kids to shut the fuck up. But I guarantee you what the parents were thinking. Oh, Friday night there'll be a bunch of teenagers, so it'll be a little bit noisy. No, they were the only people really speaking in the entire audience. Like, that is when teenagers have to shell out. First of all, there's really not really that many teenagers that go to the movies nowadays. You gotta have the money to shell out to go to the film. So if you're shelling out the money now, it used to be dirt cheap to go to the movies. You're shutting up and listening to the movie. And here's where the real problem is. Teenagers don't have a problem to shh to a bunch of little kids. Yeah, teenagers are ruthless with that. So yeah, if your kids will not shut up for this stuff, don't take them. At least not at this time. Don't. And get them to be quiet. Or you know what you do? You don't sit in the middle of the frickin' theater. Like, they went right... I go, right near the center area. So do they. No! Go off to the side, go back left, back right. Because you're going right to where all the serious movie-going people go. They're going to go to that area they know you're going to get hit with the sound effects. Don't go there! Because I guarantee these parents probably went home. Were like, oh my god, I can't believe we're being shished non-stop. How rude. Kid Gonzes, you've probably been, if this is the first time you've ever taken your kid to the movies, first off, really? You're going to start off with a PG-13 action movie? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not a, stewed when it's like, no, think of the children, it's a violent film. But really, start them off with a kid's movie. If they talk a lot during the kid's movie, probably going to do the same for a movie where there's actually a bunch of adults. Don't sit in the main part of it. You might want to, but you're not going to have fun there. That's all I got to say about that. So you got an idea of my movie-going experience, first off. Sorry I had to digress into that. Normally I pick, like, the Thursday night showing. Like, they didn't do that. And, unfortunately, my car went kapoof on me this week. Luckily, we got some spares. We have not some spares. We have a spare car because my brother goes to work with somebody else, and I can luckily carpool to work. So I know I promised I was going to put up a couple of videos this week, but going back and forth to the mechanic, getting the info on that, finding out, it's not really worth fixing the car. And then now doing some car shopping. That's been taking it, especially because I plan on doing a lease, because I'm kind of sick and tired of having used cars. And I can now afford doing a lease, since I now have a steady job. I now have an actual job. I can afford that stuff now. Yay! So, car shopping, all that stuff, and the stress of like figuring out all this stuff, have been able to put up a lot of videos, and I kind of force myself, one, to just kind of relieve the stress, get a little escape for a little bit, go out and see the Wolverine. Plus, this is the last major Hollywood film. This is the last planned blockbuster, I guess is the best way of putting it. This is the last movie that Hollywood thinks is going to be a big blockbuster of the summer, and then we roll in, well, maybe Elysium. They have maybe a hope. But we got this now, and from here on out, it's the slightly smaller. You're not looking at the $200 million movies from here on out. So this is the kind of the I don't know if this is the height, but you're out of the top zone of the movies for the summer. So what did I think? I actually like this one. This X-Men movie, I enjoy. Where I would rank it is a tough one within the X-Men franchise. Um, Certainly better than X-Men 3 and X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is gonna make. Oh yeah, remember the Wolverine movie? Well, which one? Because they both have very similar titles, since one's The Wolverine and the other one's X-Men Origins Wolverine. I have a feeling we're going to recall that one's going to be referred to as X-Men Origins from now on. So it's definitely better than those two. And now, First Class is definitely my favorite of the X-Men movies, and I just have to pick out where is it within the 2, 3, or 4. I want to say number 3, but I'm having its debate. It's one of those movies, I'm not sure where to put it because it hasn't set in yet. So you're getting a sense of where it is, where I like it. And in fact, it could go up to number 2 with some time. Now, I should point out this is based on one of the comic book storylines. Well, where Wolverine goes to Japan, it is considered one of the most popular X-Men storylines and comic book storylines of, I don't know about all time, but it's up there. So I have not read that, so I don't know how accurate this is to it. I look at this as a completely separate universe, one that doesn't have to deal with the rest of the Marvel continuity. Thank God. That's always really, if they want to separate X-Men continuity from the rest of Marvel, except for maybe Deadpool, who just happens to do them both because why not? And you've got yourself a little stabilization. That's one thing I like about the X-Men universe, film-wise, is it does not have to deal with the Marvel stuff, because it's always a bad mix to throw that in there, just because of its own thing. Anyway, so what you got Wolverine Goes to Japan is this movie, and it works. They really don't go to what I thought they would do, is just go the whole culture shock thing and not getting Japanese culture and making humor out of it. They really don't do that at all. They, of course, have moments where he, is taught elements of Japanese culture and such, but they don't have it like he's a complete idiot. Like, they don't have the whole, oh, I gotta take shoes off inside? What? He's just kind of done that. Like, he gets that part. Actually, nowadays, that's half the people in the Western world have that rule in their homes. But they don't have stuff like that. They have some of the more traditional, like they explain a few things here and there. Like, I'm not even sure if this is true. Like, okay, don't leave chopsticks standing up because it's bad luck. And they explain why people think it's bad luck, because it looks like incest burned at a funeral. Okay, alright. That nice little explanation there. But they don't dwell on any of that stuff, so I'm kind of glad. They really don't stress it like, ooh, this is fascinating culture. It's not. None of that. And if other movies and other writers and directors, Michael Bay, would probably dwell on that stuff for way too long. So I will give it credit for not doing that. And it's kind of sad that I have to actually spend the past 2 minutes just giving this movie credit for not doing something like that. So, kudos. Point 1. As for the action and the editing, I thought it was fine. In fact, they had this cool little scene where they have a fight on a bullet train, which I'm pretty sure is not following the rules of physics. But what's cool about it is they don't add a soundtrack to that scene, and it works. Like there's soundtrack to the other action films or action scenes, but not this one. And I kind of like that. The other big thing with this movie, I think, the toughest thing with making a Wolverine movie, I think you kind of saw that with X-Men Origins, is what's a threat to this guy? How is this guy threatened? And they really kind of establish this in this movie, is that they kind of start taking away his healing ability. They take it away. They like weaken him, apparently. Like they put like a parasite in there and they weaken him. And then when you finally get to the guy, the final boss, the Silver Samurai, yeah, who's basically in an Iron Man outfit, which I think a comic book friend of mine kind of pointed out that no, that's not the Silver Samurai. Okay, I'm not a big X-Men fan, so okay, I'll go with that. Although it's probably a decent enough update, maybe. I don't know. I apologize if apparently that's like what. But even when he fights that villain and he's fully healed, by the way, spoilers. The guy's a threat, and you can completely believe that he can possibly kill Wolverine at full power, because he cuts his claws off. He actually loses the adamantium claws in this movie. And they kind of establish that really early on in that fight, where he just swings his sword. It's a heated up adamantium. I'm not pronouncing that right for some reason. Sword, and it cuts off his claws on the one hand. So you're like, oh shit. And apparently, like, this suit was custom designed to just beat up the Wolverine. But the one problem the film has is it drags out. Ooh, the Silver Samurai outfit. Who is that? Like I said, I didn't read the comic book line or know much about the Silver Samurai, but the way this movie was laid out, set up, and everything, I knew what they were going for. I knew who was in the suit. They try to make this as like a last minute, oh my god. Probably before the halfway point, I knew what was going to happen. I knew the old guy was going to live. And I think a lot of people going to see this movie are going to guess that just by the way things are going and how some of the other characters are talking. You're guessing that, and then when you see the suit, you're like, oh, the old guy's in that suit somehow. So what they were trying to be smart, but they didn't pull it off, because on the plus side, though, at least they didn't try to be too smart to the point where like they kind of realize audience, like, it has to make sense when you have a reveal, and that's normally where audiences will pick up everything, because you establish it. The way around that is you do a reveal that you know the audience cannot guess because it makes no sense. The problem is then when you reveal it, it makes no fucking sense. So I would rather have this, but if they had done the reveal a little bit earlier, like when this fight, right before the fight started, to go, oh, the old guy's in this suit of armor, I would have accepted it. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point there was a rewrite with that scene, because there's always 1,000 rewrites, and they like moved the reveal to the end, near the end of the fight, as opposed to like when they first get to this research facility. Which, by the way, when they were fighting that, where did all the ninjas go? Like, Wolverine pulls up into this town, that's where this research place is, and there's an army of ninjas. Which, by the way, I was disappointed in that scene, because he had just gotten his powers back, because he literally performed heart surgery on himself. Like, he's losing his powers, like, there's something in me. So he gets a little scary, they put a parasite, like this little robotic parasite is in there, and apparently that's what's weakening him, and it's not completely eliminated his ability to heal, but it's severely slowed it down. And that's where the rest of the movie makes it interesting, because you're seeing him. He can take a bunch of bullets, but now he kind of needs a doctor to at least take the bullets out, and there are going to be wounds there for a while. He's going to be limping a bit, so he still could take way more punishment than a normal human being, but the guy's now got some limitations. Hey, Poochie, and the dog has once again joined me, if you remember my last review. I suppose for the rest of so anyway, once again lost track because of the dog. So he gets his powers back for this ninja fight. Like, he just gets them back. He kind of strolling on into the town, and he kills like 2 ninjas. And then they have a scene where they're shooting these arrows with like strings into them, and you want to see him just kind of go through these guys, and they don't. Like, even I'm kind of thinking they could have stretched that scene. Like, normally nowadays with most movies, I'm like, they could have cut this down, they could have cut that down. In this movie, they really could have stretched that scene out a little bit. Maybe make it so that he didn't pass out until like he's killed almost all of the ninjas, except for like a handful left, and then he finally succumbs to like the 10,000 arrows in his back. He passes out for like 5 minutes so they can take him to the lab. That would have been kind of cool. That would have been that's kind of what you want to see, especially the way they did the advertisements. It made it seem like there was going to be this massive ninja fight with him versus like about 100 ninjas. Didn't quite do that. I'm pretty sure they probably said it was for pacing reasons. Yeah, but that's really what you want to see, because they do have a nice long action shootout scene where it's at a funeral, which it's probably I liked it. It was a nice little chase scene. You kind of wonder why he was the only one that picked up that the wait a minute, all these priests have tattoos, and if you don't know anything about Japanese culture, again, this is one of the things they don't even lay on you. But in Japanese culture, nobody gets tattoos unless you're in the Yakuza. Like, literally, nobody. In fact, you can't even show a tattoo on a public beach in most places. I think they let you get away with it in Okinawa only because there's so many Americans there. I forget if I think that might have been a beach that was on the American base, because a couple buddies of mine from high school have been out there. But yeah, like, that's how strict things are out there. So if anyone has a tattoo, you're automatically considered like clearly you're Yakuza. And they're not covering up that well. Plus, the security is like, there's like their little ninja guy. Now, apparently he is part of their security. Like, he's the ninja that watches over the family. But still, he's like not doing a very good job of hiding. Like, he's crawling around on the roofs, but like, you can clearly see him crawling around on these roofs with a freaking bow and arrow. Granted, he's not dressed up in full ninja garb at this point, but it's like, dude, really, you might want to, like, they couldn't have shown him like hiding in something at least that would make him a little bit more stealthy. Because even the Wolverine just kind of looks up and like he sees him, he's like, wow, that's kind of weird. Keep on walking. Like, you figured that would have been more distressing, like, to go, something's wrong. So you've got that. You've got the action scenes that are acceptable. Characterization, of course, is supposed to be dealing with the fallout of X-Men 3. Aren't we all? And more precisely, his killing of Jean Grey, and I guess the movie is kind of him getting over that. By the end, he acknowledges, he's like, I killed you, but it was because you were hurting all those people, and you had to go down. And then he's kind of stopped blaming himself for that situation. Fine little subplot. And in fact, what's her? Famke Janssen was in this movie quite a lot. I mean, she's in the trailer, and you're expecting her to have basically just like a cameo. But like every time, like Logan kind of lays back and starts to nod off, he has a dream about her. So she's in a good chunk of this movie. So kudos to that. Was not expecting that. Let's see. As for everybody else, lot of Japanese names. You got, I'm going to mispronounce some of these. Hiroyuki Sanada, who you've seen in The Last Samurai, I believe. I'm going to double check his IMDb page real fast. Yes. If you remember him, he was kind of like the guy that did not like uh, Tom Cruise at first. Yeah, he was that guy. He does a fine performance here as basically he's actually, when you get down to it, he's got a completely other movie almost like thing going on where he's the daughter, he's the son of the family patriarch that's built this like Honda-ish Mitsubishi, big huge Japanese conglomerate, and he's supposed to kind of be the heir apparent. Turns out, old man is skipping a generation and going to give everything to his daughter, or his granddaughter. So Sanada's daughter. And so he creates this crazy scheme with the Yakuza to kidnap and kill them so that when the will is read and she's dead, everything will just go to him. So yeah, he has an interesting little subplot, but as it turns out, it's kind of a distracting thing because he actually has nothing to do with the overall plot. Like, his actions are... Not that they have nothing to do with the overall plot, they actually are a major driving force, but it's not the main evil plot going on. Like, it's completely separate from what the grandfather and who's the Silver Samurai, has going on. And then you've got, let's see, Teo Okamoto as Mariko, who is the love interest. She does a pretty good job of being... She shows competence with like some weapons, and she tries to fight. They don't. They actually strike a very interesting balance with her. They don't make her a superwoman, like she can just start kicking ass like anybody, but they show she's been trained. It's just the problem is the thugs they're sending her are also professional killers and know some martial arts themselves. So, you know, they can still kind of especially when she's outnumbered 3-1. They're going to be able to capture, grab her, and all that stuff. She tries to put up a fight, and I'm glad they try to do that because it gives that character just enough confidence that you can get the respect without you thinking she's a superwoman. Because that character they leave up to Yukio, who's played by Rilla Fukushima. I believe that's how you pronounce that. Who does a very nice job. She plays kind of like the more Japanese pop character type. She's a fun little character. I liked her performance in there. Looking at her filmography, actually, she's got wow. This is basically her only movie. According to IMDb, she's only starred in or been in a short movie. So I'm not sure if she's a straight out of film school. I don't even see it. Bio on here, or she's just been in Japanese stuff and it's not on IMDb, even though IMDb is really good with that stuff. At least it's like Japanese films, it's really good with that. So I don't know. She could be the straight out of film school, or she just is interesting. Very interesting. Should have looked at this before I did the review. I could be, if now I'm changing this to she's in a new movie, or she's a new actress, starting off in Hollywood, I'd keep an eye on her. She was competent, especially if this is her first role. I'm really impressed. I hope to see her in more stuff, especially as she matures as an actress. Since you said that, I'm going to go back and double check Makio's actress again, Okamoto, who is also, according to IMDb, only listed as being in this movie. Huh. Very interesting. We'll see how that goes. I have not read yet about... she does at the end of the movie... Yukio's character, leave with Logan. She kind of joke she's his bodyguard. I wonder if she's going to show up in Days of Future Past. Even if it's just a small cameo. I mean, that cast has already grown to gargantuan proportions, but we'll see. And I'll talk about that in a second. Let's see. Anything else with this film? The beginning kind of threw me off, though, a bit, because if you want to nitpick something, you can nitpick the hell out of that opening scene with the nuclear bomb. It starts off, he's in a prison camp in Nagasaki, and like they see the B-29 coming, and they're all freaking. Everyone's running away, and you've got the young Japanese officer who becomes Yashida, the Silver Samurai, and he actually is like there freeing the American prisoners, which the rest of the Japanese officers don't seem to care. If the way the Imperial Japanese Army, especially, was back then, they'd be like, American pig bastards should die. Plus, these are like the least emancipated American POWs held by the Japanese I think there have ever been. They must have just gotten there. Wolverine's in some sort of like weird cage thing, but anyway, so he's deciding he's going to free everybody, give them a chance to live. And of course, Wolverine sees sees the guy is a good person, and then thus saves his life. And a couple of things. One, he sees the bomb. He's up there. He sees the bomb drop. He sees it explode, and he's like apparently far enough away. He's waiting for the shockwave to get there. Apparently, the Nagasaki shockwave takes a really long time to get anywhere. Like, he's seeing the mushroom cloud and all this stuff, and it still hasn't hit him. Enough time has come that Wolverine is able to get out of his hole, grab him, say, you're coming with me, throw him in the hole, lay him down there, put a wood over it, or not wood, but like a steel plate over this guy. And then the blast wave hits with the full force, like it was detonated like only a mile away. That is a slow. Granted, it's only the second atomic bomb, and if somebody's going to come out and say, yes, that actually would be with that bomb, that's how long it would take to get to that distance, fine, but I don't think so. Also, he's looking directly at the bomb when it went off. His retinas should be fried. Like, he should be blinded. He's not. He was staring at the bomb as it went off. That's not how nuclear weapons work. And then apparently, and this is where it's scratching my head, and I guess they tried to make this by making it Nagasaki and it being the second atomic bombing. That Wolverine's like, no, you can't go out. It's too dangerous after the bomb. So apparently they sit in this little well thing for a while, which he's basically referring to the radiation. Which I'm going, how does he know about radiation? Like, yes, obviously radiation, it was known to exist at the time, but just how dangerous it wasn't really widely known. Unless Wolverine was reading the most advanced pieces on nuclear physics, he would not know about radiation. In fact, I think even the people that it wasn't really until after these bombings that they actually figured out the whole radiation issue. Even MacArthur, when they were planning about the actual invasion of Japan, was going to use nuclear bombs detonated like right in front of U.S. troop positions and just march troops over them. Like, that's how poorly people understood radiation back then. And yet he like knows perfectly. And also the problem is, even if you knew about radiation, I'm pretty sure this like little well that had blasts from the nuclear bomb go into it, because Wolverine got messed up. It's gonna have some radiation pool, and in fact, I think the way the radiation worked, it would really pool in something like this. So, if anything, I mean, okay, granted, Wolverine, I can buy that he wouldn't be affected by it. He's got basically can't die. Speaking of which, hilarious fight scene is when he does get his powers back and he's fighting uh, Yashida's son, played by Yamamura. Oh no, sorry, that's young Yashima. Where is Shingen, who is Sanada? Sanada plays Shingen. He is. It's hilarious as he's doing these moves and he's keep on landing these killing blows on Wolverine. He's just like, "You're fucking dead." Shit. He's got the expression on his face. It's like, I am so fucked fighting this guy. This was not a good move on my part. It added for a very, and at that point you want to see that, like, the movie earned this one-sided fight here, and it shows stuff. Like, it shows him actually stabbing Wolverine like straight through the body, and it just shows him pulling out the sword. It's like, whatever. Though this movie really could have easily been an R. They just needed a couple of extra scenes. If they had just showed, and right before this is what I was talking about when he's doing the self-heart surgery, where he just takes his claw, he cuts his chest open, and starts reaching into his heart, trying to grab this little like thing. That scene right there could have easily been an R. Like, they get this a little bit of the cut, and the rest is kind of just like just conveniently off camera, or it's on like a little X-ray screen. But yeah, just a little bit more of that. That was an R rating. This might be one, if there is an unrated version that comes out on DVD. This one might be worth catching, because they just might have enough in there that would be the R-rated version. So I would stay tuned for that. If they say it's the unrated version, check it out at least, maybe. Although, granted, if it's an extended scene, if they say unrated content, that's probably what it's going to be, is some of the more like violent stuff that they probably got to cut out of this. So that was fun. The CGI, of course, there's a lot of CGI, but it really was not as bad as the other Wolverine movie. It wasn't as bad as Origins. Huge improvement on that. And there's a bear in this movie. Really not much more to talk about without going into like a step-by-step. If I had a co-host here, but even when I go see a movie with people, they tend not to want to co-host for some reason. We'd have that. So with all that said, I also need to bring up, because they plan this. They plan to have this trailer release with the Wolverine. But yes, this movie, it has 47 Ronin. The Keanu Reeves movie 47 Ronin premieres with this, and they must have just done this because they explain what a Ronin is in this movie. So there, you explain the title. You explain the title to the trailer that was attached to this movie. How do you have Keanu Reeves play apparently a half Japanese, half white guy? He does not look half Japanese. He's got the white part down. And also, this is not the Legend of the 47 Ronin. The Legend of the 47 Ronin was I forget the exact details, but it was a rival clan kills I forget the rank, but basically the master of another group of samurai, making the servants of that master masterless, hence Ronin. And then they spend the next, I think, almost like decade breaking up, doing odd things, most of them becoming drunks, but they all waiting. They're waiting because they said, we're going to get back together and avenge our master, but we have to strike when they are unprepared. And then in one night, the 47 Ronin reassemble themselves and attack the rival lord's castle. And because it's a surprise attack out of nowhere, catches security force, his forces off guard. They slaughter him. They kill the rival lord in vengeance, and then they commit seppuku. Oh, Harikari, the classic cutting of their chest and up to their heart. And it is, within Japan, widely remembered as like the ultimate thing of a samurai, or the ultimate expression of what a samurai should be, with some debate, of course. But that's what the legend is. This is like, apparently there's 47, but there's ogres, dragons, other weird stuff. And again, Keanu Reeves playing a half white guy, half Japanese guy. I know why he's in here. It's because he knows kung fu. But like, really, why? And by the way, Hiroyuki Sanada is in this one too. Because I was about to say, get a guy like Sanada to play the main character. I know, because Hollywood won't back a movie that's starring an Asian. I like Ninja Assassin. Not my fault this is happening. Hell, you can even get the young guy that played the young Yoshida in this movie. Get Ken Watanabe to be the main character. Get somebody, come on, really? Or, at least get a real guy that's half white, half Asian. Would that make you feel better? Get him the star at least. So I don't know what to think of that movie. If it was called something else, I'd just be okay, interesting. But it's taking a legend and it's just butchering it, having nothing to do with the legend it's based on. Because it's not. It's not like, I don't believe the original legend has all the weird stuff in it that I saw in this trailer, like a woman turning into a dragon, a weird ogre monk that looks CGI. Anyway, there's probably more stuff from this movie I could talk about. Like, I didn't even mention the Viper character, who's kind of stereotypical. But yeah, there's stuff like that. But I think you got the impression. It's a decent enough movie and a decent enough addition to the X-Men franchise. Don't know what else there is to say, and really, like I said, that's kind of it for the big movies this year. It's over basically. This is the last major film. Now, Elysium is gearing up to be the Hollywood might have some. It thinks it might pull it off, but it's not a certainty, which is why it's in August. So let's see what we got coming up. Because even I'm not sure at this point. Do we have anything left in July? I don't believe so. As I pull up comingsoon.net, let's skip straight to August, because yeah, this time next week we're going to be in August. So let's see what we got here. Coming up for actually, we only supposed to do the whole month. Two Guns, which that might be good. That's the Denzel Washington, Mark Wahlberg movie. That's on the second. You got Percy Jackson, Sea of Monsters. Didn't see the first one. Don't know if I'll see this. There's also We're the Millers, which that looks like it might be a fun comedy or it might be a completely horrible, boring train wreck. Maybe I won't see anything that day. Save some money that weekend. Disney's Planes and Elysium comes out on the 9th. I'm definitely going to catch that. The 16th, we got Kick-Ass 2. Jobs, which I'm going to say looks like shit because it's trying to make like... Okay, Wozniak was the genius and innovator for Apple. Jobs was just a really good marketing guy. Alright, I'm going to say it right there. I respect the guy as a business leader. He was an asshole, and with an overinflated sense of ego. He knew how to oversell people and to basically corner the market on getting a cult of personality behind a company. I said it, so I'm not interested. And plus, there's already been a movie about the founding of Apple. Only it looked Pirates of Silicon Valley. Go watch Pirates of Silicon Valley instead of seeing Jobs, because it looks. I guarantee you, it's a better movie that does a better job examining what was going on in the late 70s and 80s that create the tech boom that we have today. And I especially love in the trailer that he's like holding up the iPad, like this is the iPod or is the iPhone. I forget what piece it is. Like, my God, it's here. Because people are gonna look back at this movie like 10 years from now, and they're just gonna laugh their ass off at this it. Mark my words. Anyway, then let's see. Mortal Instruments City of Bones on the 21st. I have not seen the trailer for this yet, so I'm not sure. I don't know why I haven't seen it. I know it's out. On the 23rd, though, you also have The World's End. Gonna probably catch that one. It will probably actually be funny, which is why. Let's see. Getaway on the 30th. That's it for the summer. Yeah, the 28th is Closed Circuit, 30th is Getaway. Not sure about seeing either of those yet. So, we'll see. That is it for the summer. And then, of course, in September we got Riddick, which I'm looking forward to. So that's what we got left, ladies and gentlemen. The big ones are over. With the possible exception of Elysium, we'll see how that goes. But at least we ended with not a crap one. We ended with a decent enough one. But I'm gonna leave that at that. If you listen through this entire thing, I thank you. Appreciate it greatly. Please like, please subscribe, please share. Do you want to hear me rambling on like this? Go ahead. Possibly one day I might have, actually, if any of you guys out there really are listening to every review, I might do like a Skype call, record it, and then post it up where we just talk movies. Don't know if I'm going to actually do that. Like I said earlier, right now I've got to sort through getting a new car. That means going to dealerships and dealing with car salesmen. Which, yeah, fun with that. Luckily, the first guy we went to was pretty good, to the point where he was actually, we went to a Nissan dealer, and he actually was like, if you're looking for a cheap release, go, you might want to check the BMW. And I looked into it too. Not the BMW, the Volkswagen. He's like, go to Volkswagen, go to Kia. You'll probably get a better deal. And I looked into both, and it's not even owned by the same company or owner, so it's not like one of those things. I think we lucked out for our first one, but I'm not buying until I go to at least check out at least 5 different dealers, compare them, see if I can get a little, well, this guy offered this many mileage, a year. Not time to get into all that, but if I'm not pushing out other videos, that's why. Dealing with the fun of looking for a car, and who knows, at some point it might become this frustrated and go, screw it, I'm gonna go out and buy a $4,000 used car, keep it running for a year, and then I'll have the bank accounts built up to do a pre-owned by that point. Anyway, that's all for now. Sayonara. I know what you're thinking. I forgot to talk about Days of Future Past, which I promised I was going to talk about. Caught myself here and adding a little addendum to the back of this review. So, the movie, this is one of those times, it's a post-credit scene, so do stay for after, not the entire credits, but it's that, the main headliners, director, star, right before you get to the scroll. That seems to be the new thing. It's not a post-credit scene, it's a mid-credit scene now. That's a whole other discussion. Anyway, this movie, it ends, and they must have really just tacked this on a month ago or something. Because it goes 2 years later, and he's now at an airport getting, he's going, I'll take the pat down, instead of going through the scanner. And, I guess he was up there flying for 2 years. That's the only explanation I come with. But you see a commercial for Trask Industries, and They show a little robotic hand there, and they cut to a drone before going to the thing, and then boom, you start seeing like metal starting to fly around, and he goes, and it's Magneto's behind him saying, we need your help. There's a dark forces are coming, and then it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna trust you. And he goes, like, I don't expect you to. And right behind is like everyone else there freezes, and Xavier comes rolling on out. And he's like, how can this be? He's like, I told you weren't the only one that was special. Boom, end. And good little, I guess, build up. I guess this is the first time they've really taken something from like what they've been doing in the other Marvel movies, building this up. And I think this is because this is the first time they've done one where they really knew what the next film was going to be. I mean, yeah, I think with Origins, they did know that first. I'm not even sure if they knew First Class was in the pipe, but you can't set up for that because it's a prequel. So this is the first one they've actually got really big backing to do the next one, and so it's good they set it up. It's good they brought those guys in. I'm excited for that. A lot of news about that from Comic-Con came out. Doesn't really tell us anything. We did get to see at Comic-Con the first images of the Sentinels, which is something that we've been wanting to see for a while. We got a quick little cameo appearance in X-Men 3, but we didn't really get to see him. Like, we saw the head of one fly, and we were actually originally supposed to see one in the second X-Men movie. There was supposed to be a scene where they were going to have a Sentinel come in, like a small Sentinel, relative to what they're supposed to be. Like come in and break into Cerebral. That was supposed to be it gets through the vault. That didn't happen, and maybe for the better, because now we're gonna get that in this one, and it looks like it's gonna be full-blown Sentinels, which I'm excited about. As a kid, I love those. I actually had the Sentinel toy growing up, which was freaking awesome because it was kind of to scale, where you had your regular X-Men figures and you had the Sentinel, and I think at some point we actually got two of them, which was freaking great because it had like the little arm, it had the little hand. You hit the button and it shot the hand out. You could it actually had a chest that would take, and you could put figures in there, like it stole them and like put the characters in. It had like battle damage spots where like you could blow the feet off of them. That was a cool freaking toy. So I love the Sentinels growing. I also just love giant robots. If my review of Pacific Rim had not been an indication that I really like giant robots, that like back in the day on the PlayStation 1, I loved fucking Armored Core. I never got into not an anime guy back in the day, so don't ask me about Gundam. So anything outside of giant robots outside of anime, I loved. Because they're freaking now. Though nowadays I'll be the first one to tell you, fucking giant robots completely fucking impractical for any military operation. I've had friends who are like in delusion land about how effective an actual mecha would be. The big giant waste of a lot of resources is what it would be. I digress. I clearly have digressed now, but I would check out, type in Days of Future Past Comic-Con Sentinels if you want to see the footage. They also showed the outfits that they're going to be wearing, where they do have like this weird post-apocalyptic armor style on. It's going to be kind of weird. I don't know if they showed any footage. I haven't seen any leaked footage, so we'll see. But excited for that movie just because of how they're going to combine things and like kind of pass the torch to the First Class group. Although it'll be interesting because are they going to still then do the Wolverine movies, because they've been successful. You're dealing with time travel. Congratulations. We're getting into the Terminator problem. Is like, well, you've got the Sarah Connor Chronicles. How do they fit in with then the original the original three, I guess, and then you've got Salvation in there, and it's blah. And now they want to do more, from what I hear, and possibly ignoring others. So yeah, this is what happens when movies have time travel, because it lets producers get away with stuff that they normally wouldn't be. Anyway, that's it for now. Signing off. Enjoy. Go see the movie. Stay tuned for more stuff.